Psychology of people who go quiet when they are hurt. You know that person who goes completely quiet when something hurts them. The one who says they are fine and actually means leave me alone. That person is not being cold. They are not broken. There is far more going on beneath that silence than most people ever realize. If you are someone who shuts down instead of speaks up, welcome. You are about to feel deeply seen, because today we are getting into the psychology of people who go quiet when they are hurt. The ones society calls closed off. The ones science calls something else entirely. Here is what nobody has ever told you. That silence is not a flaw. It is not emotional immaturity. According to psychology, what your brain does when you are hurting is one of the most complex emotional responses a human nervous system can produce. And the fact that nobody ever explained it to you does not mean something is wrong with you. It means most people simply do not have the language for it yet. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you are going to understand yourself in a way you never have before. What everyone gets wrong about you. It's a profound and often painful misunderstanding, one that can create deep chasms in our most important relationships. Have you ever been in a moment of intense emotion, a disagreement, or after receiving hurtful news and found yourself unable to speak? You can feel the other person's frustration mounting. They see your silence not as a symptom of your pain, but as a weapon you're using against them. They think you're choosing this. They think you're in control. But you and I know the truth is far more complex and far more human than that. This isn't about a choice you're making in the moment. It's about a process that's happening you. When you go quiet, people assume you made a deliberate choice. They see a wall go up and believe you're the one who laid every single brick with careful intention. In their minds, you sat down, weighed your options, and decided that shutting them out was the best strategy. They interpret your silence as calculated, a power move designed to punish them or seize control of the situation. They might label it as passive aggression, stubbornness, or the silent treatment. They see an absence of words and fill that void with their own fears and assumptions, casting you as the cold, distant antagonist in a story you're not even writing. But that is not what is happening inside you at all, is it? While they see a fortress, you feel like a house with the windows blown out. You're not building walls, you're just trying to keep from being scattered by the wind. The silence isn't a strategy, it's a symptom. It's the outward sign of an internal state of overwhelm. When you get hurt, something in your body shifts. It is not a loud, dramatic explosion. It is almost like a quiet closing, a subtle and involuntary retreat. It's like a circuit breaker tripping in your soul. Suddenly words become harder to reach. They feel like they are on the other side of a thick, soundproof wall. Your chest gets heavy, as if a physical weight has been placed upon it, making each breath a conscious effort. And the idea of opening your mouth to explain something you have not even fully processed yourself feels genuinely impossible. It's not that you don't want to connect. It's that the very mechanism for connection, your voice, has been temporarily taken offline. You're not withholding, you're empty. That is not you being difficult. That is not a flaw in your character. That is your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do. Protect you from what it perceives as an overwhelming threat. This isn't a conscious decision. It's a deeply ingrained biological reflex. It's a survival instinct kicking in, not in the face of a physical predator, but in the face of an emotional one. Dr. Peter Levine, a pioneering figure in the field of trauma and stress, has spent decades studying what stress actually does to the human body. His work illuminates this experience perfectly. What he found is that the freeze response is just as hardwired and instinctual as fight or flight. We talk about fighting back or running away, but we often forget the third option, becoming still. In the animal kingdom, this response can be a lifesaver, a way to avoid detection by a predator. For humans, the predator is often an overwhelming emotion, so when emotional pain feels too big to process in real time, your brain pulls the emergency brake. It's not weakness, it is not avoidance in the way people think. It's a profound act of self-preservation. It slows everything down to protect you, to give your system a chance to regroup before it completely short-circuits. And here is something that stops many people in their tracks when they first encounter it, a piece of neuroscience that can be incredibly validating. Functional brain imaging studies show that the region of your brain responsible for producing language, an area known as Broca's area, actually goes quieter during moments of intense emotional flooding. It becomes less active. So when someone is standing in front of you, their voice rising with urgency saying, "Just talk to me, just tell me what is wrong," and you are standing there with nothing coming out, that is not stubbornness, it's not a choice. Your brain has literally, physically, made words harder to access because it is doing something it deems more urgent. It is diverting all its energy to managing the overwhelming flood of stress hormones and emotions. It is keeping you together. You are not shutting people out. You are holding yourself in. And there is a massive, fundamental difference between those two things. Shutting someone out is an act of aggression, a pushing away. Holding yourself in is an act of preservation, a pulling together. It's the emotional equivalent of wrapping your own arms around yourself when you're feeling fragile. It's an instinct to contain the shattering pieces until you feel safe enough to begin to examine them. Understanding this distinction, for yourself and for the people who love you, is the first step toward bridging the gap that silence can create. This did not start recently. This quiet way you carry your pain, this retreat into silence when you're hurting, it feels like it's always been a part of you, doesn't it? As if it's woven into the very fabric of who you are. But I want you to consider, just for a moment, that this isn't your true nature. You were not born this way. No one is. There wasn't a single cell in your body at birth that was pre-programmed for silent suffering. The instinct to go quiet when wounded is a learned response, a strategy your mind and body adopted over time. It's a story written on the pages of your life, not a permanent trait etched into your soul. Think about it. Babies scream. They don't politely clear their throats to signal distress. They wail with the full force of their tiny lungs. Toddlers cry on the floor in the middle of a grocery store without a single thought about whether it is appropriate. They don't check to see who's watching or worry about being judged. Children express pain loudly and openly and without apology. A scraped knee, a lost toy, a harsh word. It all comes pouring out, raw and unfiltered. This is our factory setting, to signal distress, to seek comfort, to make our needs known. We are born with an innate understanding that our survival depends on connection, and connection is impossible without communication. We cry out, expecting someone to answer. We do this until something teaches us not to. At some point, something taught you that expressing your hurt out loud was not safe. It wasn't one single event, perhaps, but a series of small, painful lessons that accumulated over time. A subtle shift in the atmosphere, a pattern of responses that slowly, methodically, trained you to believe that your vulnerability was a liability. The message was clear. Your pain, when shown, would lead to more pain. Maybe it was a home where emotions were treated like inconveniences, messy interruptions to an otherwise orderly day, where you cried and got told to stop being so sensitive, to toughen up, or that you were making a scene. Maybe you opened up to someone you trusted, a friend, a partner, a sibling, and they minimized it, laughed at it, or worse, used it against you later, turning your vulnerability into a weapon. Maybe you expressed that you were hurting, and instead of being held, you got lectured or ignored or made to feel like your pain was somehow the problem. You were told you were too much, too dramatic, too needy. You learned that your feelings were a burden to others and that the price of connection was to pretend you didn't have them. So you did the logical thing, the only thing you could do to protect yourself. You adapted. You got quiet. Not because you stopped feeling. Oh no, the feelings were still there, raging just beneath the surface. But because feeling out loud kept costing you something. It cost you your sense of safety, your connection, your dignity. Silence became a shield. It was the armor you forged in the fires of those early experiences, a way to keep the world from inflicting any more wounds. It was a brilliant, unconscious calculation. If I don't show them where I'm hurting, they can't hurt me there again. This isn't just poetic language, it's a well-documented psychological phenomenon. The British psychologist John Bowlby built his entire career around one idea: attachment theory. He proposed that the way we learn to handle emotional pain comes directly from our earliest close relationships, primarily with our caregivers. He called this our attachment style. And what he found, over and over, was that when those early relationships teach us that being vulnerable leads to more pain, rejection, or dismissal, what he might term an insecure attachment, the nervous system does not forget that. It files it away as a core belief about the world. Vulnerability is dangerous, and it pulls that lesson out every single time something hurts, even decades later, even with completely different people who might be safe. Your brain, in an effort to protect you, defaults to the old, familiar pattern. So please, hear this. Your silence is not a character flaw. It is not a sign of weakness or an inability to communicate. It is a survival skill your younger self built to protect you from a world that felt unsafe. It was a masterpiece of adaptation, a testament to your resilience. And it worked. It absolutely worked. It got you through childhood. It helped you navigate difficult relationships. It got you here, to this very moment, alive and whole. That quiet part of you deserves not your judgment, but your gratitude. It was the guardian that stood watch when you were most vulnerable. What is actually happening? Inside the quiet. While everyone else sees stillness, your brain is anything but still. While the conversation is escalating and emotions are flying all around you, you are doing something completely different. You are processing deeply, rapidly, and with a level of thoroughness that most people never apply to their emotional lives. Researchers studying what happens in the brains of people who go quiet under stress found that regions tied to self-reflection, memory integration, and thinking through future outcomes are significantly more active than average. Your quiet might actually be one of the most mentally engaged states a person can occupy. What is actually happening inside that silence sounds something like this. Did I contribute to this? Have I felt this before? What is this actually about? What do I want to happen next? If I say something right now, will it come out right? Or will it make everything worse? You are not avoiding the problem. You are stress testing every angle of it before you say a single word. Because for you, speaking before you truly understand what you feel carries real risk. So you wait until you have something worth saying. Most people see still water and assume nothing is happening beneath the surface. But you know better than anyone that still water runs deep. You are protecting the people you love. Here is something about you that almost nobody recognizes, a quality often misinterpreted, even by those who know you best. And honestly, it says a great deal about the depth of your character and the way you navigate the world. In a culture that often prizes immediate reaction and unfiltered expression, your tendency to fall silent when you're hurt can be seen as withdrawal, indifference, or even a form of punishment. But that's a surface-level reading of a much more profound internal process. What if your silence isn't a wall you're building to keep others out, but a shield you're holding to keep the chaos in? Because part of your silence is about protecting the people you care about. If you are really honest with yourself, you already know this is true. You go quiet partly because you know yourself, with a startling, sometimes uncomfortable clarity. You know what lives at the bottom of that silence when the pain is fresh and the wound is open. It's a volatile mix of raw emotion, a surge of anger, a deep well of sadness, a disorienting cloud of confusion. You know that if you open your mouth before you have processed it, what comes out will not be a conversation. It will be a wildfire. It will be an eruption of words forged in pain, words that can scorch the landscape of a relationship, leaving behind damage that cannot be easily repaired. It will be something that cannot be taken back. So you hold it. You wait. This isn't a passive act. It's an active, often strenuous form of self-regulation. It's a conscious choice made in a moment of internal crisis. You are not trying to punish anyone with your quiet. You are not giving them the silent treatment as a manipulative tactic. On the contrary, you are choosing to absorb the initial impact yourself, to sit with the discomfort and the storm inside, because you care enough about the relationship to not blow it apart in a moment of unfiltered pain. You are choosing the long-term health of the connection, over the short-term relief of lashing out. There is a concept in psychology developed by Dr. Dan Siegel called the window of tolerance. It is essentially the optimal zone of arousal, the emotional range within which real communication is actually possible. Inside this window, we can process information, connect with others, and respond to the demands of everyday life effectively. But when a painful event pushes us outside that window, we enter a state of either hyperarousal, feeling flooded, anxious, or enraged, or hypoarousal, where we feel numb, empty, or shut down. When you are outside that window, flooded, raw, too deep in it, no real conversation can happen. No one can hear anything clearly. Nothing productive gets said. The brain's prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational thought, is effectively offline. You already knew this intuitively, even if nobody ever gave it a name. You have felt that internal alarm bell that signals you are no longer in a state to communicate constructively. You've recognized the signs, the racing heart, the lump in your throat, the mental fog that descends when you're deeply hurt. That is why you wait. Your silence is the act of stepping back, of consciously seeking a way back into your own window of tolerance before you attempt to engage with someone else's. It's a sign of profound emotional intelligence. Your silence, as uncomfortable as it makes other people, is often the most protective thing you know how to do. It is a form of emotional stewardship for your relationships. You are not avoiding the conversation forever. You are simply refusing to have it on terms that are destined to fail. You are waiting until you are actually capable of having it, when you can speak from your scars, not your open wounds. There is a real, fundamental difference between those two things, even when nobody around you can see it. It is the difference between reaction and response, between demolition and discussion. And in that space, you create with your quiet. You are not just protecting others, you are honoring the importance of the connection you share. The painful irony. The one thing that would help you open up is almost always the opposite of what you receive. People push. They follow you from room to room. They say you cannot just shut me out. They say this is so unfair, just talk to me. And every single time that happens, it confirms the very belief you have always quietly held. That your way of processing is not valid. That your emotions are only acceptable if they are immediate, verbal, and available on everyone else's timeline. What you actually need is the hardest thing to ask for. Patience without pressure. Someone who can sit in the discomfort of your silence and trust that you will come back. Someone who does not make your stillness about themselves. Research supports this. When people who process emotions inwardly feel no pressure to perform their feelings on someone else's schedule, they open up significantly more. Not because they were pushed into it, because for the first time, it felt safe enough. You are not asking people to read your mind. You are asking them to trust you, to believe that the silence is not abandonment, that it is simply how you find your way back. And the people who are genuinely meant to be in your life will learn that. When you finally speak, it means everything. Because you do not speak until you are truly ready. When the words finally come, they carry real weight. You have turned them over 100 times before they leave your mouth. You have checked them for accuracy, for fairness, for truth. You do not say things you do not mean. You do not weaponize your emotions to win an argument. You do not throw accusations in the heat of the moment just to watch them land. When you finally tell someone how you feel, it is not a reaction. It is a conclusion. And that is genuinely rare. In a world where people say everything immediately and mean perhaps half of it, you say less and mean all of it. The people in your life who have been patient enough to wait for you to speak understand this about you. They know that when you say something matters, it actually matters. There is no performance, no noise, just the truth you took the time to find. That is not emotional unavailability. That is emotional integrity, and there is a difference. Putting it all together, you go quiet when you are hurt because your nervous system is protecting you, because you learned early that vulnerability had a price, because your brain processes pain with a depth and a thoroughness that most people never reach, and because part of you is always quietly trying to protect the people you love, even from yourself. You are not cold. You are not manipulative. You are not broken or difficult or too much or somehow not enough. You are someone who feels things deeply and completely and takes the time to understand them before speaking. In a world that rewards whoever reacts the fastest and the loudest, that quiet, careful, considered way of moving through pain will never stop being misunderstood by the wrong people. But the right people will learn to sit in your silence without fear. They will learn that your stillness is not distance, it is presence, the deepest, most considered kind. And one day, maybe not today, maybe not soon, you will find it a little easier to let someone in before you have figured everything out. Not because the silence was wrong, but because you finally feel safe enough to not need it quite as much. That is not a flaw you are fixing. That is healing. And the fact that you are here, trying to understand yourself better, means it is already happening. If this felt like someone finally handed you the words for something you have been carrying a long time, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.